inequalities. Verify if the following solutions are true or false for the equations or inequalities. Now remember, an equation has an equal sign, an inequality uses the little arrows, okay, the alligator signs. Okay, here is our hint. It says unlock section 2 by finding the code. Find the correct pattern using the letters T and F. Your code will be the answers from numbers 16 through 20 using T, F, and that's it. Okay, we want capitals, no spaces, no commas, same as the last section. Okay, so let's go ahead and do number 16 as just kind of an example. Number 16, it says n plus 2 is less than 9 when n equals 8. Okay, so I have n plus 2 is less than 9 when n equals 8. That means instead of the letter n, I'm going to put 8. Let's make that a little bit better, sorry. Okay, so I can't leave it like this. I need to make sure that I have one number on the left and one number on the right. So I need to solve this part. I have an 8 plus 2. Well, that's 8, 9, 10. So that'll be 10 is less than 9. Well, is 10 actually less than 9? No, it's not. So then that is going to be false. That is a false statement. So what that means for us is that when we go to number 2, our first letter is going to be F. Okay, that means the first letter of our code is also going to be F. All right, and that's just how you do that one. Okay, now remember, when we have it looking like this, I have a number and a variable super close together. That means I multiply. Okay, so I have 6 times whatever t is equals negative 18. Okay, but what if instead of t, I put a negative 3? Would that equal negative 18? Okay, section 3. It says I'm solving equations now. Okay, number 21 is x plus 5 equals 9. Here's what I have to do. The code is the sum of the solutions. Well, sum means add. That means I'm adding all of these together. Okay, so first I have number 21. I have x plus 5 equals 9. Now remember, your goal is to isolate this variable. That means I want this variable by itself. And right now I got this pesky plus 5 with it. I want to get rid of it. So in order to do that, I need to make it a ghost. And like we say, we have to make it into a 0. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 5 in order to make this 0. Now what that's going to do is that's going to cancel that out for me. I'm going to drop down my variable because now it's left alone like I want. But I can't just do it to this side. I have to also subtract 5 from the equal sign. I need to keep it balanced. So now I have 9 minus 5, which is 4. Okay, so here is my solution, but right now it doesn't want the solution. Okay, that is just the answer to 21. So on my answer document, I'm going to put 4. Now remember, in our code, it is the sum. So I'm going to have 4, and then I'm going to add it with something else. Okay? Now these will have negatives in there. Remember your rules on adding and subtracting integers. If they have the same signs, you add them, keep the sign that they have in common. If they have different signs, like for example, if I have 4 and I'm combining that with, I don't know, maybe a negative 1, well, that just means I'm combining a positive 4 and I have a negative 1, just one negative. Well, if I'm creating ghosts, I create a pair, and now what do I have left? 3 positives. So then this here would give me a positive 3. Okay? Please remember that because that will help you out for this section. Moving on. Section number 4. Now we want to solve inequalities. Now, the best thing about that is that it works the same way as solving equations. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is read the instructions. First, form a word with the variables. Next, find the mode of the numbers after solving. Hint, the mode is the number that occurs the most, okay? Your code is the word and then the mode. For example, EULQA -9 or -9. Letters should be all capital, no spaces, no commas. Okay, so first we need to look at the letters it gives us. It says 26 has an E, 27 has an A, 28 has a U, 29 has an L, 30 has a Q. Okay, so I'm using all of those letters and I'm going to jumble them around to where they actually make a word. Okay, so right now the letters are out of place, but if I put the letters in a specific place, it will create a word. Okay, so that's up to you to figure out. Yeah, now from here, now it's time for us to actually solve them. Okay, so when I solve them, I'm going to look at number 26. It says E plus 1 is less than 9. Remember, our goal is to isolate the variable. So I want to get rid of this plus 1 by subtracting 1 to both sides. I drop down my variable. I can cancel these out because they're the opposite of each other, makes a 0. I drop down my symbol, and now I solve for this. 9 minus 1, well, that's 8. Okay, so then for this one, it would say E is less than 8. Okay, but I'm not done. I need to solve the rest of them to see which numbers would be occurring the most. Okay, and then once you do that, you're going to type it in like this. Okay, you have the word that you created and then your number that occurs the most. Okay. Section 5, graphing inequalities. Now this one deals with the opened and closed circles. Okay, so remember, if it just looks like this, that's open. When it has that line underneath, that's closed. Now with this one, remember our hint. Start with the variable. Okay, and then the sign, tells you the direction. Okay, now what I mean by that is number 33, for example. Does that lead or start with the variable? No, the variable's on the opposite side, but I want it first, okay? So remember, when I flip it, I need to flip everything that goes with it. So if I have 1 is greater than or equal to P, I want the variable first. So now I want this to be right here, this to be right here. If the sign is open to the 1 up top, then it needs to open to the 1 on the bottom as well, okay? So then this I can cross out, and now here is what I want. When you have the variable first, now you can use that trick. Remember, we said the arrows always show you where it's going. So I know it's going to be closed because it has an equal sign, and it's going to go to the left because P has to be less than or equal to 1. Okay, so now I look at my options. I need to find the one that has a closed circle. It needs to be on the positive 1, and it needs to be going to the left. Okay, once you figure that out, that is going to be your first letter in the code. Okay, now just like the other ones, we forgot to read the bottom part, but it says that your code should look like this. Again, all capitals, no spaces, no commas. Okay, section 6. All right, it says write the following verbal descriptions to either equations or inequalities. It says do not solve. So that means we don't want x is equal to something. We just want you to write the expression or equation that goes with it, or inequality that goes with it. Okay, we just want you to form an inequality or equation. Okay, now number 36, let's start there. It says the difference between a number and 9 is 27. Okay, now we can basically use our keywords to help us with this. It says difference. Now, if I look up the word difference, okay, and I can do that. So let's say I need some help. What does difference mean? What does difference mean in math? Let's look. Difference is the result of subtracting one number from another. Okay, great. So now I know that the word difference means I'm subtracting something between a number. Well, it says a number, so that means that I don't know it. If I don't know a number, I'm just going to replace it with x. So I know I'm going to subtract a certain number and 9, okay? And it's going to be, or is, 27. Now, in that picture that I attached for you, it says the word is means equals, okay? And then it says is 27. Oh, look, I created an equation, okay? And it's an equation because I have an equal sign. So that's all it wants you to do, okay? And then from there, let's go ahead and read what it wants us to do with that. It says a coefficient is the number before the variable. What is the product of the coefficients? This is your code. Okay, so it tells me what a coefficient is. It's the number before the variable. Okay, but now I don't know what product means. The product of something. So I'm going to look that up. Now, instead of difference, I'm going to change that to where it says product. Okay. What does product mean in math? In mathematics, the product is the result of multiplying, or an expression that identifies the factors to be multiplied. So I'm going to multiply something, okay? So let's go back to our page, and it says, what is the product of the coefficients? So I'm going to multiply all of the coefficients, okay? Now, when you have something like this, a coefficient is going to be the number right before the variable, okay? So, for example, the coefficient of 3x is the 3. The coefficient of 5x is the 5. But what if I just have an x? Well, that just means that I only have imaginary 1 in front of the x. So the variable, or the coefficient, here would be 1. Anytime you see a lonely x, there is a 1 there. So I'm going to multiply 1. I'm going to multiply 1 by whatever's next. Okay, and you're just going to multiply all those coefficients. Okay, all right, section 7. Now this is the big one. It says, read the directions below to decode. Please use your best judgment and read the directions as many times as you need, okay? Because this one gets pretty confusing. It says use the answers from your answer sheet and list them all in a row, okay? So the answer sheet that we have, it's already done for you, okay? You're going to put all of your answers here, like so. Step 2, now look at each row of codes. Okay, here's our row of codes. Codes and codes, all right? Work your way one row at a time in order. Group the numbers and letters or negative signs in sets of 3 or 4 based on your answers. Each set of 3 or 4 represents a letter to break the final code, okay? So let's start here. I have an E, D, and a C. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find one that says E, D, and C. Okay, found one. So then here it is. So then our next one's going to be A, surprise, surprise. And I'm going to put the letter S. Okay, so that means when I go here, what is the ultimate escape word? My first letter is going to be S. Okay, because that is what the group of my answers that I got. Okay, and then the next one, the next 3 or 4 you're going to have is going to be the next letter. All right, now place the letters and spaces at the bottom of the page. Okay, you probably won't know what this word is when you decode it, so you may have to look it up to check yourself, which is perfectly fine. So once you get your stream of letters on your answer sheet, other than S, it'll make this super weird word. Okay, now I want you to look up that word to see if it's an actual word or if you kind of jumbled up or missed something. Okay, now if you want to check yourself, your answer document will have a little hint at the bottom. Utilize that hint. Okay, look up that definition, see what happens. Okay, and that's how you do the escape room. If you have any questions, please ask me. Don't hesitate. Thank you.